Outsource, 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 outsource. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of On the Matterr. I'm your host, Obi Chiapa, and if this is your first time, welcome. On the Matterr is a safe space where people who are actively working towards their goals could come together to be supported, motivated, and encouraged through it. And with that, I share tricks and tips on tools and advice and suggestions on things that I've learned or things that I do or things that I am practicing to help us all do better, to grow, to learn, so that we could all be successful in our respective matters, and then also so that we could go on to live that life of abundance, which we all truly desire and deserve. Today's episode is a tad of a rant, so if it comes out that I'm just, giving off this energy, forgive me in advance, but I've had it up to here with this issue, so you're gonna see it and you're gonna feel it. So I had a conversation with one of my dear friends who asked me, how much I pay to edit my podcast. Backtrack, I've mentioned this so many times where I've said that I don't edit my podcast myself. I have the most incredible editor right now. Shout out to George Goodwin, who edits every single episode. He cleans it out. If you see what I give him versus what we put out, oh my God, he is incredible. So shout out to him. But she asked me how much do I spend per episode? And I broke down everything. And she was like, oh, that's a lot, especially since you're not making money on the podcast right now. And she encouraged me to start editing or to learn how to edit my podcast myself, because it would help me save costs on editing right now. This person is building a brand and, putting out things, and shout out to her and all the greatness and all whatnot. But I was like, well, so now with what you're doing, you do everything, you do it all. And she took very great pride to say, yes, every single thing that you see is on me, from ideation to delivery and all whatnot. And I was like, great. As she's saying this, I pull up my social media account and I go to this person's page and I'm scrolling through, and I was like, when was the last time you put something out? And it's like, well, I've been busy and life is, all of these things is happening and stuff like that. And I was like, great. Don't you think that if you had someone who helped you out with this aspect or any of the things you mentioned, that you would actually be able to produce more in order to get more, so you can stay consistent and relevant? And silence. So I do come strong with the comebacks, yes, but it's something that I had to bring to the podcast, because one of the things that affects careerpreneurs, entrepreneurs, or anyone who is trying to get on any matter and stay on it is burnout. When you're in the beginning stages of anything, regardless of if it's writing a book, if it's starting a meal plan, or getting control over your diet, or getting fit, or whatever it is the case may be, it's a lot of heavy lifting for the individual from the start. However, some of those responsibilities and tasks could be alleviated if you outsource the things you don't like doing or the things you're not great at doing, to make time and energy and flow for the things you like to do. So with that, I'm actually going to provide some benefits of outsourcing the things that we have to do or the things that we don't care to do in order to make time for that. So one of the benefits of outsourcing is it creates time. You have personal freedom to do some certain things that you need to do. When you outsource a specific thing that you don't care for, like me, outsourcing the editing part of videos. And guys, please understand that when I started this podcast, I actually entertained editing my own videos and my own audio by myself. And I did it for 2 episodes, and I kid you not, I almost threw out my computer one time. If you call my sister Chichi, she will tell you, like, there was a day I called her and I was like, I give up. And she was like, why are you doing this by yourself if you already have people you've identified to do it for you? And I'm like, I don't care for the technical aspect of things. Like, I love to take pictures, but when it came to the mechanics, the science behind it, the shutter speed and all whatnot, I gave up photography. Like, it's funny because there's a blog post on the Wawa New Yorker that talks about me taking this photography class and stuff like that. That money was thrown away because I invested that time to realize I don't like it. So outsourcing just the editing part of this gives me a lot more time to do things that I already am good at. It gives me time. George is the one who creates the reels for the Instagram. He cleans out both my audio and my video. He started with doing just video, but he too has advanced to now take complete ownership of the production. So everything that goes into the production is on him. So he's now actually officially my first full-time, well, not full-time, but my first employee of On the Matterr, because him doing what he needs to do allows me to do the things I love, which is producing these videos, which is meeting people and interviewing them and trying to grow the business aspect of it and all whatnot. So one of the benefits of outsourcing is the amount of personal freedom that it gives you. You're also able to have work-life balance, to actually be on vacation when you're on vacation. So yeah, number one benefit of outsourcing is personal freedom. 2, it increases efficiency. Again, when I did everything by myself, I was miserable. I cried, I wept. I deleted a podcast episode twice. Thank God, like, I had a master and I saved the copy, but I deleted one episode twice when I was editing and I cut out a pivotal moment. I was so frustrated, I could not do it. But having George now, and George, forgive me that I'm calling you every other second, but you're an integral part of this process, so, and thank having him really use his expertise to really fine-tune everything that I put out has been a blessing. I'm able to be more consistent putting out an episode every single week. It's just an efficient process. I prefer writing the show notes, the captions and things like that, so I can focus on my strength, which is on the creative writing aspect and the actual recording or producing the content like I mentioned earlier, and he being more efficient on his side, which is the technical producing side, just makes for a more effective and efficient flow. So yes, it increases efficiencies in a business when you are able to outsource things. The number 3 benefit is that outsourcing leads to cost savings and cost earnings. Let me tell you how. In a recent conversation with one of my dear friends from college, this man is on his Matterr. Like, you know, he's an executive at a firm. He's doing the doings, like he's killing it. And he was just telling me like, oh, that he has to clean and, you know, like he enjoys cleaning, but the time and all whatnot. So I told him, you should think of outsourcing it. That was a conversation. So recently, in the last week, again, catching up with this person, and he was like, oh, Obi, like I have to clean again and all whatnot. He told me I thought about outsourcing cleaning and having a cleaning service come in and clean my apartment, but it costs $50 per hour to clean. Using him as an example, he said it's a minimum of 2 hours, so it's $100 per service, per visit, right? And he was like, ugh, why would I pay somebody $100 when I could clean on my own? I'm trying to penny pinch on all whatnot. We had to sit down and break things down. I was like, do you trust me? He was like, always. So I asked him, what is his salary? He told me his base salary, right? We did the math and I told him how much he makes an hour. This man makes $85 an hour. I said, so you make $85 an hour, and putting 2 hours into like 2 hours that it will require you or take you to clean, that's what? 170. So now you are spending $70 every time you clean yourself, whereas you could be saving that $70 every time you outsource it. And I learned this from a CEO who I've worked very closely with, and he says we have to start looking at ourselves and we have to value our time more. And when we think about our time as it's spent on X, Y, and Z, you could be like, yeah, but that's money out of his budget. But if there's more money going out of your budget, it actually creates room for you to negotiate for more money. So when it's time to negotiate a raise, or when you're even thinking about another job, you can factor in these other things that add to your cost of living on a bare minimum in order for you to have more time for yourself to do things. This man has called me 3 or 4 times since that conversation. Like, I want to say every other day to be like, Obi, like, I've broken down people's salaries and I've been having these conversations, and I want you to say thank you. We don't really value our time enough. And if we thought about how much time is spent and put a dollar value to that, we will realize that we're losing more. And if we outsource that, then we will be able to save so much more. And I'm not saying this is an excuse for anybody to outsource your life. Please apply logic, apply things. Like, this is a man who is growing. I'm not going to speak to that because I do want him to come on as a podcast as a guest, and I can't wait to be like, he's the person I was talking about. But when I say it's freed up time for him to do what matters to him and what's important for him for his advancement, that the cost savings in outsourcing, using that as an example, is incredible. Cost earnings, how it helps you earn more money. I gave this example in terms of when it's time for him to negotiate his raise, bonus, or even if he decides to look for another job or whatever it is the case may be, he can factor in what it costs for him to do that, and then that will be in a position for him to ask for something real, something more, and something tangible. How it also helps earn as an entrepreneur specifically is that you track your costs, right? And investors usually want to see how much you, the entrepreneur, so me, or careerpreneur, the person on your matter, people want to see how much you have personally invested into your matter. And that gives them that level of trust to invest in your matter, because why will I pour into something you're not pouring into? If this is so important to you, why isn't your personal money going into this? You can tell me you've raised hundreds of millions of dollars, but if you won't put $2 from your money into something, I am less likely to buy into that, because that basis of trust isn't there for me. And I've heard that as a story or something that's resonated with other people. Being a huge consumer of Shark Tank, they always ask how much of your personal investment has gone into this. How much have you spent? So when you're able to track how much you have put into something, it actually prepares you to be in a better place to speak to your investors, because they see the tangible amount of funding and resources that have gone into it. So yes, outsourcing actually helps you earn more money. It's time for the affirmation of the episode. Yay! Repeat after me. I'm efficient with my time, and I am capable of doing everything I set out to do today. One more time. I'm efficient with my time, and I am capable of doing everything I set out to do today. Awesome. Now back to the episode. The last thing is that it helps you focus on what you're good at. And I feel like I'm regurgitating the same thing that I said in the first two, but it does help you when you do less of what you don't want to do. You can do more of what you're good at. And that allows you to kind of scale and grow your business, and that helps you with that. Now, I'm going to be honest, there are a lot of risks that come with outsourcing. Like, I've lost money in paying for services that did not come back to me how I envisioned it. And it was a loss, and I've taken a few L's in that space, in this space. So I am going to tell you that before you spend money, because at the end of the day, money is hard to get, you shouldn't, no, abundance, we receive abundance. Money is not hard to get. Money is easy to get, and we get it freely. We get it a lot, and money comes to us easily. Money comes to us. I'm like trying to unsay everything I said. But when it comes to money, right, we do have to be responsible with how we spend. So with that, I state that before you outsource anything, it is important to make sure that you consider the source and you use reliable sources when you're trying to outsource something. a service, a product, or whatever it is. And with that, I'm going to share the best ways to actually find people or services you can outsource to. The first is utilize your network by asking people you trust, people who you respect, how they do X, Y, and Z, who does X, Y, and Z for you is the best way to go about anything, because when somebody you respect refers someone or some service to you, the person is actually attaching their name to that. So the person is less inclined to refer something that or someone who isn't up to par. I'm a huge beneficiary of this because, again, I've mentioned George a time and time again in this conversation, but I met George through a good friend and a dear podcast guest, Wura Manola. Shout out to her. And she's of Wura Manola Weddings. If you have a wedding anywhere in Europe, she will plan it, or not even just weddings, events, corporate conferences, everything. She organizes everything. But when I was looking for someone to help me with video editing, she was the one who recommended George. I've been using him for years. Incredible. So again, using your network is the best resource. I would always recommend that. And then the second is, and this is not paid yet. I'm speaking it into existence, but we're not there yet. But Fiverr, I've used Fiverr to find people to help me do certain aspects of On the Matterr, from creating the social media page, the templates that I use for the Instagram page when I had just started, and creating the branding. I found my incredible audio editor who I used initially on Fiverr, and Fiverr has just a number of people. My friend Kobena actually connected me to a web developer who is going to work on building out my website On the Matterr. Again, those are the two suggestions I have in trying to find the best resources or people to outsource to. That said, with these few points of mine, I hope that I've convinced you that you should outsource things. You would go a lot further when you are working with a competent team, when you're working with people who you trust, people who can do what you can't, people who are better at what you're good at. And it helps you save time. Time is the most invaluable resource we have. You cannot get the time you lose. And when you learn to add dollar value to the time you spend, it makes you spend your time wiser or wisely. A lot better, smarter. So please, you save time, you save money, you save energy. The benefits outweigh the risk. And I'm not saying that the risks don't exist, but you can just show up better for yourself and for everything you do, and be more successful in your matter. And with that, thank you so much, guys, for kicking it with me. Thank you for your time. If you found this conversation helpful or beneficial in any way, please remember to like, subscribe, and share it with yourself first. By consuming this, and sharing it with a friend, sharing it with a group, sharing it with the world. The goal is to grow and to make sure that people know that we're all in this together so that we can learn and grow and do better together. Until next time, I am rooting for you. I love you, and stay on your matter. Bye. Mwah.
My name is Amotoke Adewale.
My name is Stacey Ann Taylor.
My name is Monfit Ryan Abu.
My name is Obinna Odenigo.
My name is Lisa.
My name is Cassie.
My name is Dr. Joan Samuels Dennis, and I am on the matter.
I am on the matter.
And I am on the matter.
And I'm on the matter.
I am on the matter.
And I am on the matter.
If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share with